If you average out the View hosts, among the dumbest people on television.
Sunny's dumb. Certainly not the brightest person. And what she just said just doesn't make any sense. It's just like so silly to say. It's not a well thought out. It's like if you had an idea for a premise and it was totally baked and half baked and you went on stage with it and it's nothing.
Just
there.
go for it. Yeah.
Pat, you're married. Tom, you're married. If your husband's doing something, if he's allegedly doing something like this, you guys would know if your wives are up to some nefarious stuff. But let's just not forget who she is. She's been, for years, lecturing America about morality, inequality, systemic failures, and look at her track record. How many times has she had to go on in the past 2 months and look at the camera and do a legal apology for all the stuff that
This morning, the scandal broke, and it seemed like any other morning, coffee in hand, scrolling through the usual news. But then, something caught my eye. The name Sunny Hostin flashed across the screen. But not for her usual fiery takes on The View. No, this time it was about her husband, Dr. Emmanuel Manny Hostin. And trust me, the headlines were far from flattering. Dr. Hostin, an orthopedic surgeon with his practice, Host Orthopedics and Sports Medicine, is now at the center of a massive storm. Accusations? Insurance fraud, kickbacks, and wait for it, a sprawling RICO lawsuit with a mind-blowing 180 defendants. This isn't just a case, folks. It's a full-blown blockbuster. Before we dive into all the drama, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe so you don't miss a single plot twist in this unfolding story.
I agree with mostly everything that's been said. I mean, we know that, only about 31% of Americans trust our healthcare system. We have a terrible healthcare system. And doctors suffer because of big corporations as well. Doctors that want to do good, like my husband, operates on someone even though they don't have insurance and then has to sue health insurance companies to get paid for the work that he's been trained his whole life to do.
Corrupt Organizations Act was originally created to take down organized crime. Think mobsters, gangsters, and all the real shady stuff. But plot twist, it's not the mafia sitting in the hot seat this time. Nope, it's doctors, surgeons, and medical practices. Now, this courtroom drama feels less like Goodfellas and more like Grey's Anatomy, but with fraud on the side. The lawsuit claims that Dr. Holan and others were running a scheme to exploit the healthcare system. They allegedly took kickbacks for performing unnecessary surgeries and billed insurance companies for procedures that may not have even been done. Imagine this: patients going under the knife, insurance companies foot in the bill, and money changing hands like it's a high-stakes poker game at the hospital. All while the rest of us pay the price.
The policy. I mean, I'm not saying that JoeRogan should be removed from Spotify. He's got 11 million listeners. He's got $100 million, contract as of 2020. But I do think as the podcast platform, you have to have some sort of guidelines. How about a disclaimer on his podcast that says, this is misinformation? How about removing some of the podcasts that disseminate this misinformation?
They have.
And that's
Hostin is accused of receiving financial incentives for recommending or performing arthroscopic surgeries, those minimally invasive joint procedures. On the surface, these surgeries might seem routine, but the lawsuit claims that some of them were entirely unnecessary. Were these patients truly in need of knee or shoulder surgeries, or was someone just after a payday? If these allegations turn out to be true, this could be one of the most shocking betrayals, making soap opera scandals look mild. Imagine trusting your doctor, only to find out you were nothing more than a pawn in a financial game. That kind of betrayal really stings.
People that always do the pointing, and it always comes back to them, all right? So when you said this is the largest RICO case ever filed in the state of New York, you guys wrap that around your brain. That's bigger than the mafia case. Like the mafia one was number one. This one takes it over. So he was scamming insurance companies from taxi drivers, Uber drivers, and Lyft drivers. He was performing unnecessary surgeries and then providing fraudulent medical services in exchange of...
But here's the twist. On the other side of this case is American Transit Insurance Company, 8EIC, the plaintiff. A tick claims they've been duped out of millions, alleging they were billed for surgeries that either never happened or weren't necessary. It's like paying for a steak and getting tofu instead. But let's be honest, insurance companies don't exactly have clean hands either. They've been accused of underpaying doctors, denying claims, and exploiting every loophole to avoid paying out. So the big question is ATIC genuinely trying to expose a massive healthcare scam? Or is this just a desperate move by a company on the brink?
To a new lawsuit obtained by Page Six, the orthopedic surgeon was one of 200 defendants named in one of the biggest racketeer, influence, and corrupt organization cases ever filed in New York. Emmanuel was accused of federal insurance fraud and, quote, getting kickbacks by performing surgery and billing a company that insured taxi companies and Uber and Lyft.
Dr. Hostin's lawyer, Daniel Thwaites, didn't hold back. He slammed the lawsuit as a baseless attempt by ATIC to recover their losses, calling it a last-ditch effort from a company on the brink of financial collapse. His defense quickly shifted the focus onto ATIC, painting them as the real villains. It's a classic courtroom move. When you're under attack, you turn the tables on your accuser, and trust me, it's keeping the courtroom drama sizzling. But wait, there's more. Enter Joe Rogan, the podcast king and media critic. Rogan didn't pull any punches, calling out The View for what he saw as blatant hypocrisy. He reminded everyone how Sunny Hostin used to slander people, acting like she was perfect, all while likely knowing about her husband's shady dealings. And that's not all. Rogan went full throttle, roasting the show for being, well, downright stupid. If you average out the IQ of The View hosts, he joked, you might still struggle to hit triple digits.
I saw you on The View.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's been overwhelming my past couple days. So I just went in there, did my thing. I had no idea what to expect. I didn't know who Sunny Hostin was. I actually still really don't know. So I wasn't expecting necessarily for her to kind of try to ambush me in that way and attack my character in that way.
Well, it is the show that people love to hate.
Yes, that's true. That's true.
They get so much hate watching viral clips of them saying ridiculous things. I mean,
yeah.
it is a rabies infested hen.
Maybe, but his fans were loving it. While Dr. Hostin fights for his reputation in court, his wife, Sunny, has remained eerily silent. Normally, Sunny is the one to tackle controversy head-on on The View, but when it comes to her husband's scandal, it's crickets. Why the silence? Is she standing by him, trying to distance herself, or perhaps waiting for her lawyers to tell her what to say? Fans are buzzing, with some thinking she's protecting her image, while others suspect she's staying quiet to avoid becoming the next target. Either way, her silence is speaking volumes.
Her husband accused of committing federal insurance fraud in a lawsuit, okay? Now, let's read this. Rob, is this a video?
Well, I have this. I'll show you this about.
Let me just read this and I'll come to you. So, Dr. Emmanuel Manny Hostin, an orthopedic surgeon and husband of The View co-host Sunny Hostin, is accused in December lawsuit fraudulently billing insurance. By the way, this is a Daily Caller story I'm reading. The lawsuit alleges Hostin knowingly provided fraudulent medical and other healthcare services in exchange for kickbacks and or compensation, and names him among nearly 200 defendants in one of New York's largest RICO cases. Wow. Hostin's attorney, Daniel Thwaites, denies the allegations, calling the lawsuit a meritless attempt by a near-bankrupt insurance carrier to intimidate doctors and restrict healthcare benefits. The case involves claims that Hostin performs unnecessary surgeries on patients after minor accidents without exploring less invasive treatments, with American Transit citing New York's 1974 no-fault law as contributing to widespread.
Except, instead of robbing banks, these criminals are stealing insurance premiums. At the heart of it all is a bigger question. How much trust do we really have in the healthcare system when money seems to take priority over patient care? When doctors and insurance companies are more focused on profits than people, trust starts to crumble. Patients should feel safe going to their doctor, not like they're walking into a financial trap. And let's not forget, if ATIC is using this lawsuit as a smokescreen to cover up their own financial troubles, they're only adding fuel to the fire. This whole situation is a tangled web, and untangling it won't be easy. As of now, Dr. Hostin hasn't been found guilty. These are just allegations, but the court battle is shaping up to be quite the spectacle. Both sides are gearing up to throw everything they've got at each other. So for now, all we can do is sit back, watch, and try to separate fact from fiction. Whether Dr. Hostin is guilty or innocent, this case is already casting a harsh spotlight on the uncomfortable truths of both the healthcare and insurance industries. So buckle up, because this scandal is far from over. With every new twist, we'll be right here, popcorn in hand, watching it all unfold.